Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The following is a paid program by Karl Sterling. The content of the show is that of Karl Sterling and does not represent the views of this station or iHeartMedia. Some of the information contained in this program has not been approved by the FDA, nor is it intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any diseases. Information hereafter is for general information only, and before considering anything discussed, you should contact your doctor or primary care physician.
One pill makes you larger, and one pill makes you smaller.
Your Health Matters with Karl Sterling on News Radio 570 WSYR on 106.9 FM and live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
I take a couple lovers, I down a couple downers, but nothing compares to these blue and yellow purple pills.
Bring you the latest in health and wellness, so you can get to the other things that matter. Here is your host, Karl Sterling.
Good morning. Good morning to everybody. Hey, Elizabeth, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Very well, thank you. It's always great to be here. I just love coming here. Sarah, thank you, producer Sarah, and Kyle is out there too. You make this easy for us, by the way. Thank you. So, how's it going today? I mean, what's new? Anything happened? You went to a concert the other night.
Yes, I did.
I heard it was really good, too.
It was very good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's cool. That's great. Yeah. And you had, like, special seats and things?
Yes, I did.
Whoa.
Thanks to the bombshell.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. It was Dierks Bentley.
Dierks Bentley.
And Chase Rice was one of the openers.
One of the openers.
I'd seen him 3 years ago and put on a good show.
He does. They both did. They did great. All three bands actually were phenomenal. We had a great time.
I'm really glad. So you were in the pavilion, though. You were like in
Yeah.
the. Yeah, that's great. Wow. Yeah, another gentleman who, Phil.
Yeah.
I won't say last name, but Phil, if you're listening, good morning.
Good morning, Phil.
And he was in yesterday. He went. He said it was good.
I was looking for you, Phil.
There was quite a crowd, though, right?
I think he was almost sold out. Yeah, if he
That's-
wasn't sold out.
That's good. It's always that's good. I'm glad. Well, we had a guest scheduled to be with us today, Dr. Stephen Sideroff. And unfortunately, he had to cancel because of something going on, which was semi-emergency, but not terribly bad. He is very sad not to join us today, but I am assured he will join us soon. We may pre-record and just run it, 3-4 weeks from now. I know we're pre-recording on Wednesday for the Nashville show, and it's a 1-hour show. So, anyways, he wrote a book called The 9 Pillars of Resilience, and it's one of my favorite books I've read all year. And I would highly recommend, go to the library or just get online and buy it, or if you're a Kindle person or however you like it, it's available in all forms. I have it on audio, and I may get the hard copy because when I really like a book, I like to get in there and highlight things like this other book I have with me right here.
I know you've been talking about that book for a long time now.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to get to that one in a minute. So it's Elizabeth and me today, but while we have a lot of things to talk about, we never have problems filling up the time.
Nope, we don't.
We had a 1-hour show for a while. Well, now we got 2, and I could go on for hours and hours. But, we're a longevity-based program, and the clinic that we have over in Camillus at Preventive Medicine Associates in that building, it's called Neuromotor Training. That's a longevity-focused clinic where we help people to improve their movement, memory, and cognition. So this show is about bringing things to light to hopefully inform you and educate you in ways that will help you to live a longer, better quality of life. In many regards, right? So there's so many things we can talk about. We want to increase the health span within your lifespan. We want you to live long and well and, die quickly. It just sounds so weird, right? But seriously, not a long, agonizing death. Go right up to the end, go a long time, and then boom, you're gone. I mean, I'd like it to be that way for me, I think. I
Me too.
don't want to be hanging around forever. Well, one of my favorite quotes I'm going to repeat. I just want you to take this in and think of what it means to you. Most people tiptoe through life hoping to make it safely to death. Whoa. And by the way, did I say we're really trying to be positive in our news? We try to bring you good news, but sometimes good news involves the bad you have to hear first before you can maybe, circumvent that or fight back or make decisions that are based on good and, informed decisions that actually end up being good news in the end because you live better. Well, most people tiptoe through life hoping to make it safely to death. I didn't make that up. It came from Bob Proctor, who passed away a couple of years ago, best-selling author. Okay, so that saying that described me for the first 50-something years of my life. Well, I was afraid of what people would be thinking of me. And it's not that I don't care about that anymore, but I care less. I care less than I used to because I'm not really here to impress anybody. What you hear is what you get. I'm not putting on a front. This is the authentic onion is peeled. This is Karl. There's no onion. There's no layers. What you see is what you get. And it took a while to get to that point because there is so much tiptoeing going around, and sometimes, of course, we don't want to hurt people's feelings, and I hope you don't ever want to hurt anyone's feelings on purpose and be adversarial and just mean and condescending and selfish and all that stuff. I don't get into talking religion on the show, but I serve God first, family, friends. That's it. That's my life. So how I can serve is to be me and be authentic. And that involves things like, combining this beautiful gift we have as humans called free will. We have free will. Don't you love we have free will? I mean, sometimes it's hard, though. Like at CrossFit, I don't really have free will as much as, because they're telling me what to do, yet I can modify. But it's free will to go to CrossFit and do what they tell me. And I need that, right?
Yes.
I need that. And a lot of people come to us. Well, the free will gets them to us. They invest in themselves. We coach them through things that will benefit from that. They'll benefit from, and they walk out better. They're feeling better, moving better. So the free will, it's a beautiful gift we have to help us to live our best life. I'd say you deserve it, right? We deserve this.
Yeah, we all deserve a good life and the best life we can possibly have.
I believe so too. Especially if we're being nice and loving towards others. And we are going to get into some possible controversy today, although I don't think any of the listeners of this program are really going to argue about anything because Dr. Berry had the show for 8 years before me, and I'll tell you, you're well educated. Well, we're on the same, we come from the same mold of thinking, the same mold of, we research a lot of the same things, and mine might be more movement-based, and his is medicine-based, but we're both going after a holistic approach to treating the body, mine being movement, his being medicine, okay? Well, mine involves feeding yourself good stuff, so does his, So really, it's a common journey. I have my specialty, he has his, and so with the knowledge you already have from Dr. Berry, who I am grateful to for all he has shared over the years, we'll get in deeper into some stuff. Before we go to our first break, though, I'd like to talk about the book of the week, which is up on the website, carlsterling.com. That's Karl with a K. Book of the week is entitled Why We Sleep. Now, I've had this book for at least 5 years. It's written by Matthew Walker, and it was introduced to me by my chiropractor, Dr. Hunter Molin. So, Dr. Molin, thank you for introducing me to that book because it really changed a lot for me in regards to, knowing what to do to help me to sleep better, which has really never been a problem. But for a lot of people, sleep is a problem. They can't get to sleep. They can't stay asleep. They don't get enough sleep. So Why We Sleep is a game changer book. And the podcast of the week just happens to be the Matt Walker podcast. So you want to learn about all things sleep. He wrote the book. You go to his podcast. It's also on my site under book podcast of the week. Go to that tab, pull them up, click on them, buy them, listen to the podcast. The most recent one I heard had to do with melatonin and sleep. Right. So there's so much there. There's like 70, 80 different episodes and sleep related stuff. It's amazing. We have more information on sleep as we get later into the show. So remember to please join our mailing list. Join our daily text messaging lists for longevity nuggets. We're here to help you with a unique experience not found anywhere else, here on the show and in the clinic. And we really, really want to raise the bar for everybody on training the brain and the body and doing it simultaneously, because this is a game changer. This is going to help you move better, think better, respond better, balance better, better agility, mobility, stability, movement, cognition, memory, multitasking, and reducing falls and fall risk. It's carlsterling.com. That's Karl with a K. Last week's topic was good fat versus bad. So when we come back from the break, we're going to review a little bit about that, because there's a couple things I could have done a better job explaining, like how to get rid of some of that bad fat. Okay? We'll be back shortly. This is Your Health Matters on 570 WSYR. See you in a minute. And we're back. All right, last week's topic was good fat versus bad fat. So we're going to review that shortly. Meanwhile, I am going to take some quotes that were featured 2 days ago on the latest Tucker Carlson interview on his podcast. Okay. Dr. Casey Means was a guest. You've heard me talk about her. Dr. Casey Means wrote a book, which is the book of all books, in my opinion. And it takes a lot for me to say that this book is the book of all books. If you want to talk about the connection between pharma, big food, how it's messing us up, making us sicker, and really putting us into a sick state of being overall. Now, I am very, very pleased to announce that, God willing, on Tuesday this week, I will be pre-recording a 2-hour show that will run next Sunday. I said, God willing, as long as she makes it to meet me, and she confirmed 2 days ago she will. She was on Tucker Carlson, but she's going to be with me. I can't even believe it.
I can.
This is a big one, because she'll be pre-recording. We're going to run it next week. Okay, and by the way, the week after that, I already have it in the can. It's ready. It's 2 hours with Dr. Dale Bredesen. All right, we recorded that on July 31st. It's been sitting in the can, so the day before Labor Day, it's running here, 11 a.m. to 1. You don't want to miss that one. I'm telling you, the stuff he's come up with now in the past, 8 months since he was on last, it's just mind-bending and life-changing, and so relevant to so many things. Okay, he's a best-selling author, by the way, of the End of Alzheimer's series. So I'm directly quoting Dr. Casey Means with some random facts. They call her, they kind of call her the whistleblower. She and her brother, I think his name's Callie. I can't remember. Yeah, Callie Means. Callie was on the inside with a lot of this stuff, like working with Coca-Cola, working with other companies. And they've got, from her medical perspective of being, 9 years as a head and neck surgeon, and this said, I can't cut into another person because they have so many other problems here. We got to figure out why everybody I work on to do surgery is sick. She put down the scalpel. She walked out, never went back. Well, then she did research. He was in the inside doing his thing, watching how companies like Coca-Cola are paying off, FDA, the American diabetes or something in the child. What's the Pediatrics, American Pediatrics Association, so that they'll, do their thing to show that certain foods are not going to hurt them as bad as they actually do. I mean, these people they're being bought. So some of Casey's quotes are this. I'm building up for next week because it's it's going to change your life. It will change your life, I promise. Americans and our health are getting worse every single year. Patients in America are getting sicker every year. They're getting more depressed, more infertility, and life expectancy is going down. And this is in a country, our country, the United States of America, that's spending 2 times more than any other country in the world on healthcare. 77% of young adults are unfit to serve in the military because of these issues like obesity and other problems. She also says from the day we're born, we're in trouble. Well, you think about that. There are things that happen when you're born, injections and this and that, and I'm not going to get into saying my opinion about it. I'm not a doctor. I don't know the answers. But she will expose some things here, and she's not a conspiracy theorist, and neither am I. It's just telling the truth. Okay, so I'm building you up, folks, because next week is going to be mind-boggling, mind-bending, game-changing, life-changing. Kids aren't going outside anymore, not as much as they used to. They're not getting the sunshine. Circadian rhythms are destroyed. Every level of society, public schools, start times are disrupting our food, our nutrients, our sleep, our stress, and our dopamine levels. Also interrupting our movement patterns, and it's affecting the levels of toxins in our body. It's like we're being destroyed, or we are getting destroyed in various ways. It has a lot to do with the foods that we take that make us sick, that make us need the meds, that are not really helping us that much. They're helping us to manage things and just get by. This one blew my mind. Check this out. The best thing that can happen to pharma, and if pharma wants to take me out, come and get me. You know what I mean? I'm just here to tell truths. Okay? I'm not here to cause disruption in a bad way. I'm here to rattle your cage in a good way so you're aware. The best thing that can happen to Big Pharma is to get a child hooked on medications. I mean, when I say hooked, it's because you got child, diabetes. Well, people with diabetes usually end up it doesn't take that many years to come up with like 4 other, on average, 4 other comorbidities. Chronic conditions, I should say. Therefore, they need medications. Therefore, they go to 5 different specialists or more. 5 different specialists are just got their head buried in their specialty. Nothing wrong with that, except that they don't talk with each other. How many people come into our clinic and they're like, well, I'll go to 8 doctors and none of them talk to each other and they all pass the buck. And they can't figure out what's wrong with me.
Yep.
Well, it actually usually starts out with the food. Wow.
Kind of depresses me.
This is not rocket science. I'm not saying the food is the answer, but for a lot of us, food is the answer. It helps. A lot of the things that people are going through are preventable and reversible. Okay, so a child to be addicted to ultra-processed foods, this is going to continue to demand for the parents to get that food because they're addicted to it. All right. There's a huge incentive for a child to be sick and then get on this didn't quite translate right, but basically this helps more prescription. It's doubling prescription rates in high schools over the past 10 years. And you have to ask, how can we be so delusional that we think it's easier to inject a child weekly for the rest of their life than to find a way to get that child some healthy food? Whoa. And my hands are up in the air and almost in a state of disbelief because, oh my gosh. Anyways, we could take these dollars and simply, easily just funnel them towards healthier diet and lifestyle. We are destroying the things that give us life. The root cause is really a lot of the foods. 58% of foods are processed, ultra-processed. So we're kind of turning back our lives in a way, and Casey says it's not a free market here at work. It's rigged against poor people especially, but it's really rigged against us because and by the way, folks, I am not an innocent person here. I am guilty. I love potato chips. And do you know, when Tammy was away, I bought a bag of jalapeno chips and I ate the whole thing in 2 days.
I'm sorry.
I usually would do it in one day, but I felt good about spacing it out over two. I wasn't really trying to hide it. I mean, there's nothing to hide. I admit it. We have at least 22 listeners to this show, so now 22 people know I ate a bag of jalapeno chips. You know why? They look so much better than the blueberries. But generally speaking, I'm not eating much of that kind of thing anymore. I do have my things. I love those red Twizzlers. Those are horrible. Absolutely horrible. But I love them. They got me hooked.
I'm sorry.
I'm making faces over here. I feel so guilty. So don't think that I'm innocent and I'm eating perfect and I'm being allegedly perfect in my dietary lifestyle. I'm not. But I do fight back against it. Casey's brother, Kelly, says the FDA grows when pharma's influence grows. Well, why is that? That's because they get paid money. This is, at this point, public knowledge. They're being bought. All right, it's not politics. It's corruption. It's the truth. It is what it is. It's a fact. And he was on the inside of all this stuff, so this comes firsthand. He saw it happen. All right. The FDA should be an independent organization, but although it is maybe on paper, it's not because they're being paid. So it's an executive order could be signed to not allow it. Well, that hasn't happened. He also says the highest suicide rate of any profession in America are doctors. That's also the highest burnout rate. They're all good people, but they feel trapped. So, kudos to Dr. Berry for getting on this here and probably risk being, his license pulled. There are times I used to listen to, I think, man, I don't know if he's going to be on next week because of what he said. Yeah. And, he was. Thanks to whatever powers that be, the higher power.
That's right. They
allowed him to be a truth teller. Who knows? Maybe I'll get pulled off the air. I don't have a license to pull. I'm not a doctor. Things like PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, reversible in as little as 12 weeks with dietary interventions. If we get our blood sugars under control, we can restore hormonal balance. We're almost done with the quotes. I think I have 5 more quotes. We need to get back to having a sense of pride and responsibility in our households to cook food. And, actually, we do this. I know you do it.
I try.
Yep. Yeah, sure, we grab stuff out. We try to make sure it's decent, though, There's no more important thing we can be doing than feeding ourselves and our children and our families healthy food. Just maybe think of Core Eatery. I really like that place. They've got some good stuff. Maybe they'd want to be a sponsor. Okay, so the freshest, most beautiful foods. Well, they're really. I'm in all of them, but I'm actually stealing this quote because when I think about genetic expression and what happens to the microbiome, our gut health when we eat a healthy food, there's no replacement for that. And our microbiomes are being trashed with ultra-processed food, and a lot of it has no fiber. It's like complete insanity. Dr. Perry talked about it earlier this month, gut inflammation, and then traveling to the vagus nerve, making it to the brain. Dr. Dale Bredeson's going to talk about it when you hear him in 2 weeks. He's going to talk about the gut-brain pathway and how a lot of this inflammation and gut stuff and the coming from the foods we eat and the crappy stuff we drink and eat, manifesting more and more and more dementia, Alzheimer's at younger ages. We got to go to a break, folks. You're listening to Your Health Matters on News Radio 570 WSYR. I'm with my co-host, the amazing Elizabeth Brusa. And finally, you and I are going to talk after this break, but I had to get all these quotes out. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Thanks so much for listening, folks.
Rose Tamburino.
Made it back.
Yeah, barely.
Didn't you have to actually start off and lead us in?
And we're back. This is Your Health Matters on W57 WSYR. I'm
Yeah.
here with Karl Sterling with a K.
Karl with a K was late.
Yeah,
Getting back to the chair.
I had a nightmare about those things, and you better not do it again.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Well, I was born late,
I
feet
know.
first, upside down, and, everything. So, all right. We're back. We're having a good time here. So, sometimes, I'm going to just tell you something. I listen to most of the shows that we do. I haven't listened to all of them, but the reason I listen is like when I was a drummer, because I used to be a drummer. Used to be. And anyways, I've been waiting to get a response. No, I'm just kidding. So I would listen back to when I would record, some of the music I did at different gigs and this and that, because it's the best way for me to learn. And so when I'm listening to radio show, I'm listening to my, presentation, and I taught all over the world, a lot of recordings of me teaching and this and that. And I watch or I listen because I want to see and hear, well, what's it like? What's the experience like? And I do know that once in a while I can come across kind of edgy. So I hope it's not coming across too edgy for you today or ever, because I'm really not here to create an edge, meaning like, to be just annoying to listen to, which, I probably can be once in a while, but more to just emphasize that we are here to bring you information to help you, to educate you, to enlighten you, because I'm being enlightened. I mean, I'm researching every single day. The first thing I do, get up, go make coffee, sit down, read, research, first thing. Then I do emails, then I do whatever, and I go to work. But we do have a couple more quotes here from Dr. Casey Means. Let me get to the one here. Okay. Well, a lot of this stuff makes us step back and think, like, what's really happening? I mean, it's making us, this situation we're in with food supply is making us lose our minds earlier, if you will. I don't mean that disrespectfully, but with Alzheimer's and dementia. Why is it our kids can't sit down and learn? Because of ADHD, and she will talk about autism rates, and that a lot of different conditions and diagnoses are skyrocketing. Actually, I have a story about that I'm going to share. I'm not going to say who, but I'm going to say that I just learned of a particular child who was really very, very problematic, who was taken off of sugar and gluten and was like the calmest, most pleasant to be around child just from a dietary change. Yeah. And imagine that. Imagine that. Just getting the sugar out of it, getting the gluten out. I mean, there are a lot of controversy about gluten too, but I think if you eat gluten in Europe's a little different than over here.
Yeah.
For sure. But this child was problematic for years. I mean, really, really troublemaker. Feed the right things to this boy, and you got a real pleasant boy to be around. So there's something for you. Last quote. Americans are not only sick, but the core process of being able to create and transform your energy is broken. We need to fix this because We need all hands on deck right now in America to solve these big issues. Okay, so let's go back for a minute. The core process of being able to create and transform energy is broken. Well, what are they talking about? What you put in your body is what feeds you. It's what feeds your mitochondria, which is the power pack for your cells. And if your mitochondria is weak or you have mitochondria dysfunction, you have cellular dysfunction, you have energy dysfunction, you have metabolic dysfunction, you have a lot of dysfunction, and you're just not getting the energy you need the right way because you got the wrong stuff in you. And that's that. You have any thoughts on this?
No, it just makes me very sad
Yeah.
in a way to think
Yeah.
about this. And you talk about the autism rate going higher. I mean, when I was younger, I didn't hear about anybody having autism.
It's
No one.
Yeah.
And now
Well-
I can tell you I know a few kids with autism.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a little bit of a touchy subject, and I will not go into this because I have no opinion because I'm not educated in this arena to discuss if vaccines are connected at all. Okay. But there are some who believe there's a connection. I will say on the record, as a non-medical person, I think foods have a lot to do with stuff.
I totally agree with you.
You know, a lot. Now, the book all this is coming from, or I should say the person this is coming from, or two people, is Dr. Casey Means. She's an MD, was a head and neck surgeon, with her brother, Callie Means, who worked on the inside and knows all the stuff about who's paying who to do things to really just mess up the food supply. And I'm not kidding, folks. I am not kidding. I'm telling you, when she comes on, and I say one more time, God willing, our meeting Tuesday afternoon happens. It's going to be for 2 hours. We're recording, and we will run this next Sunday, and I just can't wait to actually listen to it. Even though I can listen to it anytime, I want to listen while it's on the air. I just want to take it all in. It's sad, but, it's the truth, and some truths hurt, and this is one of them. So the book is called Good Energy. It's on my website. Go to the book of the week. It's just down there somewhere, and go check it out. So last week we were talking about good fat versus bad. We actually go into a break again in a minute, but we'll come back and I want to review a few things from last week. I didn't really do that good of a job last week on explaining how to get rid of these fats. I said what kinds we have, where they come from, but how do you get rid of them? So I apologize for that because I got a few questions on that this week in the clinic. Good fat versus bad fat, a review. So when we come back, we will talk about what fat depots we have in our body. Well, we'll talk about 4 different ones, the 4 biggies. How do we get these fats? Meaning, where do these fats that accumulate in these 4 areas, how do they accumulate in those 4 areas? And what can we do to manage them and more so reduce them? Because there's always something we can do. You want to take us out?
No, that's okay.
Okay. It's a little game here. We have exactly 13 seconds. And I'm going to go right up to the second with this because I don't know. Is it a drummer thing?
I think it's a drummer in you.
Timing?
5
seconds, 4, 3. We'll be back after this
1.
short break. Thank you. All righty. So let's go into a review of last week. Good fat versus bad fat. So we got the subcutaneous, right?
Yeah.
That's the fat we see right under the skin. For people like me,
And me.
it's my belly, I don't have a 6-pack. Well, actually, I do. It's under the protective layer of the little spare tire, like 10, 12 pounds. I got this little spare tire thing happening. But that is probably the least worrisome fat. And for some, it will go to hips, quads, legs, I should say, hips, rear end, but belly, a lot of belly. It serves as a source of energy storage, insulation, it usually is accumulated due to excess calories and not enough energy expenditure. So in other words, you're eating more calories than you're burning. We can go through the bullet point list. Excess calorie intake, lack of physical activity are two reasons we will get that fat. Genetics can be another. And some hormonal influences. Next page. Dietary choices are going to play a role in that too. Carbohydrates, sugars, unhealthy fats like fructose, all the different syrups out there and all that stuff. These are going to spike insulin levels and promotes fat storage. All right, and stress. Yeah. That can add to this as well. Lack of sleep can be a problem and add to fat. So understanding these things can help us to manage this subcutaneous fat. Now, one of the bad fats is the visceral. We do a lot of body compositions in our place, right?
Yes, we do.
So we've seen quite a few. In fact, mine's a little high. I mentioned it last week. I'm at a 14. Well, 1 through 12 is healthy in the range of whatever their points they're measuring there. I was 13, now I'm 14. It's been very stressful, though.
I'm sorry.
No. It's not. It doesn't have that much to do with you.
Oh, that much. Now he admits I'm in there somewhere.
I had to say that. Okay. No, it doesn't have to do with you. Without you, actually, it would be just purely unmanageable at the clinic. You do so much with everybody. Oh, by the way, that was a fun party on Wednesday.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, everybody who came, because,
Thank you for the love that you showed me on my birthday. Well, the day after my birthday, but thank you very much.
I was just so happy with that turnout. That speaks volumes about you.
Also you.
Well, the party was for you, so it really speaks about you. So visceral fat, we do a lot of body compositions, and we can see that quite a few people come in higher than desired visceral fat scores. Well, this is a harmful type of fat because more harmful than subcutaneous because it's in and around the internal organs, right? The internal organs within the abdominal cavity. It's considered like heart attack fat. It can increase various health risks such as cardiovascular disease, heart problems, type 2 diabetes, and certain types of cancers. How we get it? Well, I will tell you right now that Dr. Robert Lustig, who wrote, I think it was the book of the week last week, I might have featured that one, is Metabolical. And I'm really trying to get him on the show. He's a toughie, but I'm sure that at some point I'll get him. He writes about how the cortisol, stress is probably the biggest contributor to visceral fat. Because when we're stressed out, and who hasn't been stressed out, right?
Yeah, a lot of us.
Cortisol, that hormone cortisol gets fired up. Now, we have to have it, but if we have too much, it's not a good thing. So excess stress is probably the biggest contributor to this. But so is excess calorie intake, lack of physical activity. Genetics can play a role. Other hormonal factors. Dietary choices. Trans fats, sugars, processed foods are linked to higher levels of visceral fat. These types of food can lead to insulin resistance, inflammation. Both of these things promote accumulation of visceral fat. We already mentioned stress. Alcohol consumption in excess, which is pretty much any alcohol. I'm sorry to report that. It's just the way it is. Nobody wants to hear it, but I used to be a drinker, and I stopped because it was going to kill me. It can lead to increased calorie intake, right? Alcohol has a lot of calories, and they're empty calories, and affect hormones involved in fat storage, which promotes the accumulation of this type of fat. And so as we age, we're also more likely to accumulate the visceral fat. So it's, I don't want to go on too much here. Liver fat. Let's talk about liver fat, because we're going to talk about how to manage these things to get rid of them. The most dangerous type of fat with even just a half a pound being enough to cause serious metabolic issues, well, liver fat is driven by consumption of fructose, sugars, processed foods, and alcohol. Fatty liver or hepatic steatosis occurs when excess fats build up in the liver cells. This is bad. There's, let's see, we got metabolic conditions, alcoholic fatty liver disease. I probably had that. I don't know. And then I know I had non-alcohol fatty liver disease too. Well, that's all those sugars and processed foods. And we see more than ever, we're seeing more and more. I don't know the stat, but I think it's about half of children have that now. I could be wrong. Maybe it's 25%. We're going to figure that out. I might have the stat in here somewhere. It's a lot. Let's just say that. It's a lot, and it's not supposed to be that way. So alcohol, I have to tell you, a new thing came out, and it was on mainstream media this week, which I know a lot of people don't like it, but I'll tell you what they used to say is, I'm going to read it right here. They used to say back in the 80s, maybe in the 90s, studies came out, said that if you're drinking like maybe one glass of wine a night, it's going to be good for your heart, resveratrol, all that stuff, good for the heart and health. Well, guess what? We're finding out in the recent years, this is not true, because we know that one alcoholic drink a day is definitely, absolutely 100% linked with reduced brain size.
Wow.
And that even moderate drinking, and that's considered 1 drink per week for women, 2 drinks a week for men, is still shrinking the brain. Well, now you know, so you have free will, and you can decide what you want to do to your brain. If you drink it, I'm not here to judge. I drank more than anybody. It adds to the white and gray matter in your brain. It leads to brain degeneration. And, well, it's just all kinds of problems. Okay, so eventually we'll do a show on alcohol. Intramuscular fat is the last kind of fat, okay? This is the fat stored within the muscles. If you ever cut through a steak and you see marbly, fat in the muscle, well, there it is. We have it too as humans. This is found between muscle fibers and within the muscle cells, and it's influenced by things like excess calorie, lack of physical activity, aging, dietary factors, right? Again, refined carbs, simple carbs and sugars, processed foods, unhealthy fats, like omega-3 fatty acid. This is going to add to that. Okay, so we have just enough time to start into how to manage these things. So if we go back now, we go back to the subcutaneous. Well, let's look at the things. Let's look at all of them. Excess calorie intake, first of all, is going to add to our I seem to have lost the page. Here it is. Subcutaneous fat, visceral fat, liver fat, intramuscular fat. They all have something in common. Excess calories, refined sugars, or refined foods, sugars, processed foods, ultra-processed foods, too many calories. When we cut the crap out, we reduce the likelihood of accumulating all 4 of these types of fats. When we reduce our calorie intake so that we're where we should be, and that's something we can figure out for you, by the way, if you come and see us, carlsterling.com, Karl with a K. We can set you up. You're going to know how many calories you're burning, your rested metabolic rate. You're going to know what you should be eating, and you're going to know which whole foods, how to break down your macros, your fats, good fats, your carbs, your protein intake. You're going to know the order to eat food, which we'll talk about in the next hour, so that you can have let's say, the most steady blood sugar levels, avoiding the extreme spiking and drops, so that you can have your body process the energy you're putting into it, because food is energy, drink is energy. and get the most out of these things to feed your cells, feed the mitochondria, be healthy, reduce your chances of cancers and disease and diabetes and all these other problems. How to manage these? You can start with less calories. You can start with getting active physically, like go for a walk. You're going to read in some places. There's one person I want to get on the show, and I just showed you a picture of her. Remember? I don't want to say right now. Okay. She uses Botox. But anyway, she has a lot, though. She has a lot to offer.
I know who you're talking about.
We're hard out at 12 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay. So we go a minute and a half. So we, thank you, Sarah. So we're looking, I want to get her on the show because it's not that I want to be adversarial with her because she's going to bring the best stuff to the show, you know, especially about a muscle-centric life, meaning having enough muscle. And we're under-muscled, right, as a society, because most of us are. But she's also going to talk about walking as not being exercise. I'm going to tell you, don't listen. Because walking is exercise. You walk, you know, if you just walk plodding along, well, no, it might not be. Or maybe it is for you. But if you need to walk. If you walk, you go to a Dr. Berry walk, you know, on Tuesday nights. I think at 5:30, he does a walk at the canal. They go to that park over there on Warner's Road. Anyways, just go out and walk. That is exercise. It gets the heart rate up. That's a zone 2. That's a fat burn zone. That's one of the best things we can do for ourselves. Yeah. So walking is exercise. Walking is like pretty much something we've been doing as humans since humans have been around. We'll finish with this, though, in the second hour because we have to go to a news break here in a moment at the top of the hour. Appreciate you listening so much. It's always a pleasure to be here. Thanks for being with me, too. I appreciate this so much.
You're welcome.
And we're in the countdown.
Yes, we are.
I'm watching that clock.
I see you.
Sarah, Elizabeth, me, watching the clock. We have 5 seconds. But this is News Radio 570 WSYR. Your Health Matters. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
The preceding was a paid program by Karl Sterling. The content of this show is that of Karl Sterling and does not represent the views of the station or iHeartMedia. Some of the information contained in this program has not been approved by the FDA, nor is it intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any diseases. Information has been for general information only, and before considering anything discussed, you should contact your doctor or primary care physician. The following is a paid program by Karl Sterling. The content of the show is that of Karl Sterling and does not represent the views of this station or iHeartMedia. Some of the information contained in this program has not been approved by the FDA, nor is it intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any diseases. Information hereafter is for general information only, and before considering anything discussed, you should contact your doctor or primary care physician.
One pill makes you larger, and one pill makes you smaller.
Your Health Matters with Karl Sterling on News Radio 570 WSYR on 106.9 FM and live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
I take a couple uppers, I down a couple downers, but nothing compares to these blue and yellow purple pills.
Bring you the latest in health and wellness so you can get to the other things that matter. Here's your host, Karl Sterling.
Hello, everybody. This is Elizabeth Brusa, and I'm here with Karl Sterling on 570 WSYR. And we're back for more.
Thanks for bringing us in.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm going to...
Yeah, you're going to kill me. Yeah. You have a good radio voice, I got to tell you.
Oh, stop.
Yep. So, well, we're back for another hour. This is a gift. Yeah, we're talking about good fat versus bad, and then we're going to get into some other stuff because we already talked about it last week, but I feel like it's time to go just a little bit deeper. So all those things we were talking about, subcutaneous, visceral, fatty liver, and intramuscular fat. If we can reduce our calorie intake to the appropriate amount, and yes, we can help you with that, folks. If you want to come and see us, set up an appointment. Well, obviously, you need that because we're pretty busy. But we have time, and we will get you in, and we can help you with this and help you figure out how many calories to eat based on what your body composition is and how you're burning, and try to direct you in those regards. Okay, it's one of the things we do.
Besides the body comp scale that you have, the VO2 is a good thing to find out all this information and help you.
Yeah, we had a gentleman yesterday came in. Somebody I've known for years came in.
Oh, he came in the other day while you were gone, too.
Yes. Our friend David. David, if you're listening, great to see you, man. David's a real inspiration. And I'm not saying last names because I don't want to call out his identity, unless you text me and tell me I can, David. But he lives with generalized dystonia, bilateral deep brain stimulation, electrodes in the brain. I think he just had a new remotes or whatever, put in his chest. And this gentleman, he's traveling, he's hiking. He did this 100-mile, I believe, hike in these mountains that encompassed, I believe it was France, Germany, Switzerland. And he showed me yesterday that he went,
wow.
He hiked this, I forget how many days it was. But then he was in Nepal climbing. Nepal's a beautiful mountainous country. I think Everest is in Nepal.
Wow.
And here's a gentleman who has a great deal of difficulty talking, enunciating, pronouncing, articulating, and even projecting any volume. Not all the time, but sometimes. Yet he's out there and he's doing this stuff. And since the day I met him a little over 5 years ago, we met at the turf place when I had the batting. I was using this place in Baldensville. A friend of mine owned, and he still owns it, but it's no longer that. But it was a batting place. It was really cool. We met at the turf place, and this guy's jumping through the agility ladder. He's doing all this kind of stuff. I think he and I are about the same age. But the reason I'm saying this is because he came in. Every time I've seen him, he does the work. He's out there doing the work. He's out there exercising his butt off and just crushing it and fighting back against this debilitating diagnosis. So, David, you are a real inspiration to me. I told you that yesterday, but you, my friend, are really just a huge inspiration to so many of us. So he comes in yesterday to do the VO2 testing, right? So we get him on, sit down, do the 12 or so minutes of resting, and then he did the moving one he did on the stationary bike. I mean, he went on that bike, man.
Really?
And
Good
I'm
for him.
I'm looking at him, more? We ramp it up every minute after 3 minutes, a little bit more intense. Yeah. Give me the thumbs up. 20 minutes later, we finally stop.
Really? God bless him.
Yeah, that's the longest test I've ever done.
Wow.
I had one go 17 minutes. So he is, and we'll get the data comes tomorrow, but what Elizabeth was saying here is the VO2 resting and metabolic movement tests. The price went up on them, folks. Sorry, it's $350. I can't do anything about it. I can't give you a lower price, but you can't get it anywhere else around town. We're the place. The data you're going to get from the system we use, though, you won't get it at the hospitals if you can do it there, and I don't think they let the public use those, or the university if they're having any up there. You don't get the same data because they don't have the system we do. Our system is the absolute best system in the world. We use the best system available to measure your data. Now, if you're a follower of Dr. Peter Attia, and David came in, well, yes, Dr. Berry, or Dr. Berry might have recommended him. And I don't remember the whole deal, but Attia says...
Dr. Berry was in on it. I do, because he said that when he came in looking for you that one morning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Dr. Berry highly recommends what Dr. Attia says, who wrote a best-selling book called Outlive, which was like my book of the year last year. And it's always going to stand the test of time. Good Energy being my book of the year and probably all books of all years so far. But Outlive is a great book, and Atia talks about the importance of knowing your VO2 scores at rest. And, well, he stresses more movement, but we do resting. Now, I've had people come in and do only the movement. We're no longer doing that, folks. You're going to do both. I've had both.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, true. I've had just resting. We're no longer doing it, and I'll tell you why. You can have a good resting test and a really not so good moving test. So you got to know how your body's using energy for oxygen during your moving. Now, there are people who do the movement test who didn't do the resting. Well, my movement test came out better than my resting test this last time on my birthday 3 months ago, whatever. And I was not happy because I need to build more muscle. It's very clear that my metabolism is not as good at rest as it should be. So I need more muscle. So I've got to work on that. Get rid of this belly.
But that helps with everything that we're talking about. Once you know that,
Yeah.
it helps with all this information, the subcutaneous fat and the visceral fat and liver fat.
100%. It helps
It's better than the body comp scale.
way, way better.
I
Yeah.
mean, the body comp scale doesn't take much time, but
Yeah, and it'll give us information that the other tests won't. But the best test, if you're willing to invest $350, I'm just telling you, that's what it is. You don't have to guess. All right? It's $350. But you're going to get a one-on-one consult with the metabolic genius, Petros. All right? And I can answer 90%. He can answer 100% of the questions. You're going to get a meal plan designed for you based on your data and your eating preferences and if you have food allergies, anything like that, like I do, shellfish and apples. Got to go to break, folks, but we'll come back and continue this conversation after this next break. Really appreciate everybody listening, and, well, we got lots more to share. We'll be back in a couple minutes. That's a cool beat.
yes, it is. I like it.
I like that one. Okay, let's get right down to it. What to be doing to reduce these types of fat? I got to dig in because I'm kind of going off today. First of all, come in and do, like Elizabeth said, do the VO2 resting and movement test, because you cannot get this data anywhere else like this. This is data you can only learn through these testings and through the system we use. You cannot get this data through any other VO2 system out there. And we know this. I just know it's true. Okay. So the investment in that, yep, I know it's hefty. It's $350, but I'm telling you, I know people spending that or more for supplements for 2 weeks, literally.
But I've also said that the VO2 gives you your body. It's it's like you taking a blood test or a urine test. It's your breath test that tells you about your body. So it's a good thing.
You did say that. Like, this should be really kind of a standard thing. You take blood, you take urine, take breath.
Right.
Because the stuff you get from the breath, you cannot get from a urine test and blood tests.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, back to the fat. Okay, what to be doing? Okay, subcutaneous fat. Your diet. Create, if needed, a caloric deficit. That means consume fewer calories than you burn to reduce overall body fat, including the subcutaneous fat. Healthy fats. Okay, focus on unsaturated fats that are found in things like avocados, nuts, seeds, and olive oil instead of trans fats and saturated fats.
One thing I want to say, I was listening to Casey Means, and she said, try to get organic foods. Yeah. She's very big on organic. And I know I know it's much more expensive, but it might be worth it in the end.
Well, I wrote a paper on this for a sociology class, and when I was a nutrition major at SU, so this is probably the last semester I did, which is a little over 10 years ago. I wrote a paper on food deserts, meaning shortage of food in, let's say, poor neighborhoods. I don't know if that's politically correct, but it is what it is. Well, if the people took the money they spend on the food they get, even if it's the dollar menu at McDonald's, okay? I'm not calling out McDonald's. I'm just saying they have one, and a lot of people use it. And you find those a lot of times in areas where there are food deserts. Take the bus, go to the farmer's market where you can get all the organic fresh stuff for like a quarter of what it costs at, I won't say any grocery stores, but grocery stores, especially one of them,
Yes.
which has the most expensive stuff. Looks good, presentation's nice, displays are good, but man, it costs a lot of money.
Yes,
You
it
know,
does.
$1, $1.50 for one red bell pepper. That's too much money.
Yep.
Go to the market, you might get like 3 for $1. I mean, it's really, you can get so much. So just an idea, folks. Those farmers markets, you know, they can offer some really good deals and good products.
Yep. I'm sorry to.
Oh, no, I'm glad you did. This is what it's all about. Plus, nobody wants to listen to me talk all the time.
That's not true.
No, it is true. Increase your protein intake of good, high-quality protein. Well, if you don't know what it is, you just get online and look up, healthy proteins. Make good choices there. Okay, your meats and some other stuff. There's a lot you can get from different legumes and all that. Complex carbs instead of simple carbs. Complex carbs are triple molecule, triple bond. So when it gets into your system, it breaks down slower than a single molecule refined or simple carb, because a single molecule, not 3 to break down, 1. Boom, blood sugar spikes. Well, you don't want that. Complex carbs are going to be better. All right. Increase your physical activity. Build muscle. If you build muscle, we talk about it constantly. I feel like I'm just beating people over the head with this. Incorporate resistance training or building muscle. It can be body weight. Just let's get up right now. We're going to stand up right now. We're going to talk. Oh, Sarah, you haven't seen me do this one yet, have you? She's new here, but we love her. Sometimes we exercise. You don't have to do it. But if you want to, you can. So we're just going to squat while I talk. Okay, I'm going down and up. Okay, now I'm going down nice and slow. 2, 3, 4, up. Now keep doing these squats. Okay, so we want to do some resistance training. I'm squatting down. So we build muscle. We can do things like push-ups on a counter, on the floor, on a wall. We can do squats. We can do a step up. Maybe we do step up onto one step. Step up, balance, hang on to a railing if you need. I'm squatting low. And come up. I hope you're all squatting with me. Are you squatting with me? I want you to get up if you can. Be careful. Don't hurt yourself. We don't take any responsibility for that. I'm just saying if you can do it, you should do some squats. Okay, I don't know how many I've done, but I'm going to do more. So build muscle. This is one way. People who get up out of a chair without assistance do better, living longer and better than those who don't. Makes sense. Manage your stress. Practice stress-reducing techniques such as mindfulness, meditation, yoga, and this will help to lower cortisol levels, right? And adequate sleep. Let's talk about visceral fat. My legs are starting to burn. Are yours burning?
Mine are burning.
I'm going to hold the squat down now, folks. I'm holding it way down. Oh, my God. Have you ever had anyone exercise while they're on the air? She's shaking her head no. And my quads are burning.
So am I.
Oh, boy. Okay. Okay, I'm done. I'm going to sit for a minute. Second set coming up soon. That was fun.
We should do that more.
We will. I have another idea for another exercise. But we'll take a break, meaning we'll talk about visceral fat. So your diet, reduce the sugar and refined carbs. All right? Focus on rich foods that are rich in healthy fats, proteins, and in fiber. Eat plenty of vegetables and fruits. Avoid trans fats. Increase physical activity. Increase cardiovascular activity. We're talking about the heart attack fat, folks. We want to get rid of the heart attack fat, visceral. And limit your alcohol. Limit that. And also, big one here, it's highlighted, it's bold, it's underlined. Managing stress is going to be extremely important. Now, if you go to carlsterling.com, Karl with a K, there is a tab called Breathe. I have a lot of different breathing techniques on there that I've spelled out. I practice breathing on a daily basis. I am going to teach you after the bottom of the hour break how I use breathing to help me get to sleep, because we have a sleep component to this show coming up. Because stress and cortisol production is the biggest contributor to visceral heart attack fat. Reducing fatty liver, well, that one's pretty easy. Reduce the sugar, the refined carbs. Eat healthy fats. Lose weight if you need to lose weight. You know if you do. And if you do, then if you need help, you call us. Avoid alcohol. You don't want to feed your liver alcohol if you have a fatty liver. I did it. It doesn't work. You can't get rid of fatty liver when you drink alcohol. I know firsthand. Okay, now we're going into push-ups. Okay, so what we're going to do is, this is like really funny, isn't it?
Yes.
So I'm against the desk here, and I'm going to read while I'm doing some really kind of funny-looking push-ups. Okay, so find a place, a wall, whatever. We're actually doing push-ups. Let's see. Physical activity, regular exercise, at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic exercise. My voice is fading in and out here as I come closer and further from the mic. Brisk walking, cycling to improve that liver health. Resistance training. Build muscle. Lifestyle, control your blood sugar. Manage sugar levels. All right. Really, a lot of that has to do with diet. And in some cases, maybe there's prescription involved. And that's something you need to talk with your doctor about. And the last one, intramuscular fat. Well, eat a balanced diet. Again, we're talking about if we want to reduce that fat, hey, my pectoral muscles are burning a little.
Yeah.
You feeling this?
Yes.
We're both doing push-ups against the desk. Woo. It's like doing them on a countertop. I hope you're doing it with me, folks. I really do. We have 1 minute left. I'm going to keep going for the whole minute. Focus on a balanced diet, rich in whole foods, lean proteins, healthy fats, complex carbs. This will help you to support muscle health and reduce fat accumulation. This is the intramuscular fat we're talking about, the marbly stuff you see in meat. Moderate your calorie intake, protein-rich foods, and incorporate strength training like we're doing right now with these funny little push-ups. But you know what? I'm going to feel it, and I'm feeling it. Aerobic exercise and some high-intensity interval training if you're able to do it. Okay, I'm done push-upping. We got to go to bottom of the hour break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about the order in which to eat foods and how to sleep better. You're listening to Your Health Matters. Karl Sterling, Elizabeth Brusa on News Radio 570 WSYR. We'll be back.
Rose Tamburino.
So you mentioned on the break, all these things, they have stuff in common. There's a common denominator in getting rid of or managing these fats, right?
Yes.
What are they?
Eat well and move.
I just love it because it's so not rocket science. And it's all we just said in 90 minutes or so really does boil down to
Eat well and move.
Move more. It might be eat less, move more for some, but eat well. What I would include, if I was to define that, that would be eat appropriate amounts, eat good food,
Right.
feed yourself good energy, move more, and be healthy and live longer, live better. It's so simple. It's just so not rocket science. I want to talk about order of eating.
It sounds simple. It's sometimes hard to.
Okay, yeah.
It sounds simple, but it's sometimes hard to implement.
Yeah, there's a saying I have. You hear me say it all the time. It's simple, but simple does not always mean easy.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, because there's a Twinkie over there, and maybe I want that Twinkie. Have you seen any Twinkies around here? No, I haven't. I'm glad there aren't any because I would like to eat one, but I'm guilty. But I would actually, if I saw a Twinkie, I wouldn't eat it. I want to talk about order of eating, though. Okay, so we talked about this and we had some questions on it. So I want to just go over this again. Order of eating foods. Okay, this is really more so in regards to managing, let's say, blood sugar levels. And probably has an effect on insulin. I'm no expert on insulin or anything like that. But if you start with your fiber, let's say you have a salad, you have veggies, not the breadsticks they bring out, the loaf of bread they bring you out, you go out to eat, bread's the first thing. No, you know what? I know. I mean, well, if you're out to dinner, maybe you do on occasion have the bread first. But when you're in a normal situation, like you're at home, and this is what I do. We eat, the salads are always first. The veggies are first. Because that's going to create this lining in your stomach. All right. Someone's going to be working on that. You follow that with the protein, the chicken, the beef, whatever it is, right? Follow it with the protein because then there's more layer there of, now you've got fiber, you got protein down there. And by the time you get to the carbs, which are the things that would be most likely to spike your blood sugar, they have a lot harder time being assimilated into the bloodstream to raise your blood sugar and spike your insulin because you got carbs and fiber blocking them beforehand. Like it's a great way to manage that blood sugar. All right.
That's good.
So that's it. It's simple. That's it.
And like another thing is drink water like half an hour before
you
eat, so you feel fuller.
Yeah, now that opens up another thing which I'm guilty of not doing very often, but there is another thing, set of data. This comes from many places too, that technically, if we drink anything during the time that we're eating, the enzymes are diluted, so they actually don't break down the food as efficiently, and it doesn't assimilate into our bloodstream, our body, our cells, and our mitochondria don't get fed as well because we're diluting the enzymes that do. There are different enzymes that digest protein than carbs. But either way, if you dilute either one, you're going to be not breaking down the food as much. So ideally, it's great to just stay away from drinking anything while you eat and wait for a few minutes afterwards, too. Wait, probably at least 20 minutes. They say stop a half hour before.
Right.
Yeah, that's tough, right? I mean, we're in a habit of drinking when we eat, usually.
Yep.
So just keep that in mind, though. If you really want to try to change the game, you really want to try to rewrite the narrative on how your body's going to, let's say, work and process food. If you really, when I do something, I'm all in. If I decide, stop drinking, put down the bottle, that's it, never again. That's it. I don't think, oh, well, I have one more next week or next month and then a little tiny little bottle here. No, I'm done. That's it. It's a decision. For me, it worked. It could be food. It could be, I'm going to do it this way. And if I decide I'm in. I'm all in. I just have to make that decision because as soon as I do it, you have to do it your way, though. I mean, whoever, I'm talking to everybody. We all have our ways of doing things. But if you want to really make a difference, dig in on that stuff. Give it a try because eat in that order. Don't drink half an hour before the meal and another probably 20 minutes afterwards. You're going to see a difference. So let's talk about sleep. Is there anything more you want to talk about on that?
No, I don't. No,
all right.
I think we covered it all.
So this all comes from Dr. Matt Walker, who, again, that's Book of the Week. Podcasts of the Week are both his. And that's on carlsterling.com. That's Karl with a K. Somebody called me up and left a message actually last week. Said, hi, Karl with a K. I'm interested in if you have any programs. And by the way, if you're listening now, this nice lady left a message and then I forgot to call her back for like 2. I'm sorry I forgot, but I know I'm calling you after 1:30 today. Karl with a K. I just had to say that. Bullet point summary. Well, I typed into something about that. How to manage our sleep. So first of all, if you can set up a regular sleep schedule, like go to bed and wake up same time every day, even on weekends, it's going to help to regulate that circadian clock. it's going to help you. Right, creating a relaxing bedtime routine. Well, that's good.
Yep.
I mean, I got a text message the other night, Tuesday night, that was kind of disturbing. And I just had to choose my battles. Like, okay, I'm already stressed out. I've got a lot of things on my plate. And I just couldn't allow this to affect me. So I just decided that I was not going to be riled up or respond. So the next day it all worked out anyways. It was fine. But that would have affected my sleep if I had gotten into some kind of back and forth text in the situation. And that never happens, but it happened. I'm like, oh, geez, I'm so tired and stressed as it is. I'm trying to manage so I can sleep well. If you limit your exposure to light, any kind of light, in the evening, this is going to help you to sleep better. Things like TVs, computers, phones, the blue light can be disruptive in the production of melatonin, and that's a sleep hormone. If you can keep your environment relatively cool, now, not everyone sleeps better like this, but statistically, most people sleep better when it's a little cooler in the room. Are you shaking your head no?
No.
Okay.
Actually,
hey, whatever works, though, you have to
my
do what
nose
works.
might like it cold, but my body does not like it cold.
Okay. Limit caffeine. I'm always done with my caffeine by 7:30 at night. Okay, folks, don't do what I do. The thing is, I will have like an espresso at 6:30 or 7 o'clock, and I'm out.
Yeah.
No problem. I know I shouldn't do it, but I don't drink any alcohol. But alcohol, you can think it might make you sleepy and get to sleep better. That may be true, but it will disrupt your sleep.
Yep.
It's guaranteed to disrupt your sleep. Regular exercise is going to help you to sleep better. I could read more about it, but I'm not going to. It's really that simple. Exercise more, that's going to help, yeah.
You have a note here that it says vigorous, but avoid vigorous exercise close to bedtime. Because for me, that's not true. I can do the climber for an hour.
Really?
And go to bed.
Well, we all have the things we can do. You can do that. I can drink espresso at even as late as 9. I was with my friend Dominic Peak in Nashville at his house. We came back from wherever we were. It's 11 o'clock at night, and we both had cold cups of coffee.
Oh, my God.
And I went right to sleep. Now, please, folks, don't try it.
Right.
I mean, the experts say don't drink caffeine past noon if you're going to bed at 9:30, 10, 10:30, 11 at night, because
that's me.
It can stay in your system. Yeah, that'll keep you up.
Yeah.
I know you said that. Just got to keep an eye on the clock here. Avoids large meals before bed. Yeah, because digestion is a very, very taxing energy process. And the more you're taxed energy-wise at sleep time, the less likely you are to sleep well and to sleep soundly. Natural sunlight exposure during the day is actually very important. We're going to go to the break and finish this sleep thing when we come back, because there's some real specific instructions I can give you, easy instructions to help you sleep better. This is Your Health Matters. News Radio 570 WSYR. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. I like that beat too. Man, that's good. All right, we're talking about sleep. A couple more things here before we get into a little bit of sleep management instruction, if you will. It says limit your naps during the day. If you need to nap, and I love to nap, and I'm good at it.
Me too.
I can pretty much fall asleep anywhere at any time within 2 minutes.
I know. I've seen you do it.
Yep. Keep your nap short, 20, 30 minutes, and avoid napping late in the afternoon to prevent difficulty falling asleep at night. I know that is a problem for some people. I also know a lot of people who don't like to nap because it ruins their day. So, if you do nap, though, just don't nap for 3 hours. I mean, I know people who do that too, and then they can't sleep at night.
That's right.
Manage your stress and anxiety. Practice relaxation techniques such as breathing, meditation, yoga, gentle yoga, they say, and calm your mind to prepare for sleep, because these strategies can help you improve the quality of your sleep. Now, if you read the book, Why We Sleep, you're going to discover some mind-boggling facts about how sleep and longevity and quality of life are related. Why We Sleep is an amazing, amazing, amazing book. I think Michelle just got that book. I wonder her
Yes.
to see how she likes it. Okay, let's go into here's some stuff you could do to set up your sleep-wake cycle. Now, I said this on an episode way back, January or February. We're going to go over it again now. The first thing, when you wake, assuming you're not working a night shift, okay, like overnight, let's say you're sleeping at night, like probably most people do, or you're trying to at least. You've got to get your hormones, the proper hormones fired up at the right time. And here is the recommendation from Matt Walker. All right. Besides all the stuff we just said, when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you should do right away, if you're in a climate that allows you to do this, is just get outside, look up into the sky, not at the sun, look at natural daylight from above. You could do it through a window, but outside natural light is better than filtered through a window of any kind. Again, don't look at the sun. And if it's not sunny, it doesn't matter. Or if you're up before the sun is out, well, when it starts to get light outside, go outside and look up for 2 minutes. The receptors in the bottom of your retinas are different than the receptors in the top of your retinas. Your retinas and your eyes are actually part of your brain. They're not just connected to it. Your eyes are brain exposed. Okay, that's a whole other story, but your eyes are part of your brain. So when you receive this natural daylight, instead of sunlight, I'll call it daylight, your brain immediately gets into cortisol production. Now, we know too much cortisol is bad. That can add to our stress can produce it, accumulate visceral fat. But without cortisol, we would be dead. This sets you up for a 14 to 17 hour wake cycle. So you looked up, you did about 2 minutes, you're outside, hopefully, you're just taking in the sunlight or the daylight. That's it. Okay, now you go throughout your day, and before it's dark, no matter if it gets dark at 5 o'clock or 9 o'clock, it doesn't matter, whatever the season is, you just go before it's dark at night, in the evening, and you do the same thing. Go outside, look into the, look at the sky, receive natural daylight from above, because that's going to hit your receptors in the bottom of the retinas. It's going to fire up your melatonin production. This is a sleep hormone. Okay? Do this every day. These two things, these 2 times a day. Set up your sleep-wake cycle and see what happens. Now, if you have to get up in the middle of the night for any reason, safety is always first. If I get up in the night, I do not turn on a light for any reason. However, I do have a night light plugged into an outlet down by the floor, and I can see well enough, and I can make it, the bathroom or whatever. I'm cool. It's all good. Don't turn on the light above you unless you need to for safety reasons, because we don't want you falling down. Safety is always first. Light from above, especially between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. statistically, will fire up those receptors in the bottom. The light will reach the bottom receptors of your retina and fire up cortisol when you don't want it to be fired up, causing the high likelihood of not being able to get back to sleep. So then your circadian clock's screwed up, and you're a mess, and you're tired, and you didn't sleep well, and you're tired and lethargic, and you just don't feel good, and that can lead to a lot of problems. But that's it, folks. That's it. I mean, there's more we could talk about. The 3-2-1 rule. Stop eating 3 hours before bed. Stop drinking stuff 2 hours before bed. Stop watching TV and screens and all that 1 hour before bed. Good luck with that. It's a toughie. It's simple, but it's not easy.
I also heard that you shouldn't look at your phone.
Yeah.
A half an hour before you get when you get out of bed. Like, don't look at any screens like that.
Yeah, I can believe it. Yeah. We're going to save this other stuff for next time. Let's just improvise. We got a couple minutes left.
Okay.
That was fun today.
It was fun.
Well, if you have any questions, folks, my phone number is on the website, but I'll give it to you now. It's 315-935-7488. 315-935-7488. Karl Sterling, Karl with a K, .com. You can call me Karl with a K. It's okay. I have another thing I wanted to interject, and that is about being kind. I think that when you hear Dr. Casey Means next week, again, God willing, our meeting happens Tuesday. It's confirmed to be on the schedule. So if it is, you're going to hear her next week. You'll find out the big pharma, big food, they're not being kind. This is control. This is absolute, just complete greed. This is greed to the level of I can't even describe the level of greed that's going on in pharma and in big food. And I'm not trying to be negative. But let's bring it down to our own levels here. I see the road rage. I see just people budging in line, people being rude. Hey, we all have bad days. But I implore you to actually reach out and do something nice for somebody today. Do something nice for somebody. Maybe open the door for them. And if they complain about it, that's their problem. You weren't trying to say that, oh, you can't open. I can't. I could open the door myself. They say that, though. I don't care. I was still being nice. If they have a problem with it, that's fine. I don't care. But most people probably won't respond like that. I was brought up to be a gentleman. Help people. Open doors. Do nice things.
Sounds good.
Bumper music.
Bumper music.
So with that, I say be kind. Be kind to others. Especially love your family. Love your kids. Love your parents. You may not get along with everybody, but you can love people. You can be kind and not adversarial, hopefully. Maybe take the high road sometimes, trying to work things out. I go through this. I'm not perfect.
Neither am
That's
I.
an understatement. Well, we got to get going, folks. We'll be back, next week. I hope I'm not here, because I hope it's Casey Means on the air. You won't believe what you hear, but be kind, be loving to humanity. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you, Elizabeth.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Kyla, who's out there. Have a great week. Keep moving.
The preceding was a paid program by Karl Sterling. The content of this show is that of Karl Sterling and does not represent the views of the station or iHeartMedia. Some of the information contained in this program has not been approved by the FDA, nor is it intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any diseases. Information has been for general information only, and before considering anything discussed, you should contact your doctor or primary care physician.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.